So, hi Kriti.
Hello,
So, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Hope you're doing good as well. And
Yes,
thank you for having me.
thank you so much. And welcome to the Tech Talks of Frontlines Media, EdTech and Frontlines Media.
Thank
So,
you.
first of all, can you just introduce about yourself and start sharing your brief experiences to our beloved students?
Sure. Okay. So my name is Kriti Rohilla. I'm currently working as an SD2 at Microsoft Hyderabad. And before this, I worked remotely with Coinbase for about 10 months. That was like short stint. And then before that, I worked at Goldman Sachs for more than 3 years. I graduated in 2019 from UIET Punjab University, Chandigarh. It's been like more than 5 years in the tech industry now. So yeah, that's about me.
Okay. So, Kriti, when we see your profile, you have started your career with a very less pay, that is almost a 3 LPA from your college.
Right.
So, what was your mindset during those early days? And we have also heard that there were two offers at your college. Actually, there were two, Gramener and Infosys, right?
Yeah. So the thing is, like, I was one of the like Infosys was one of the last companies to come in our campus. There were no product based companies back then that came because I was in a tier 3 college. No product based companies showed up. And in fact, like, yeah, so I was placed last in Infosys, but I didn't want to join. So I applied off campus to some of the companies. Gramener was one of them. And even though the paycheck that both offered were same, I chose to go with Gramener instead of Infosys at the time.
What made you to pick Gramener over Infosys, Kriti?
The reason I was like, I realized this in my final year, the reason I was not able to crack interviews very much so like was because I didn't reach out to product based companies in the first place, but also I lacked a lot with the respect to technical interviews, right? So but I was good at coding. I had done a couple of projects. I've contributed to open source. So at that time I was like, okay, I know coding. So and Infosys, they told me they'll go through a training period, which was about like few months to teach people Python and all. So I realized like why I didn't want to do that. And versus Gramener, they were more willing to give me projects right from the beginning. And they took interviews in Python, which I already knew. So they were willing to do the projects in the beginning itself. So I just went with it to start professional work earlier instead of going through the training part.
Now, if you look back, so do you think it is one of the best career decisions you have made?
Yeah, it was more of a gut feeling. At the time, I didn't really know what I was doing. But I came because I think it was more like I don't want to go to Infosys. So I picked the next best option I had. Even though looking back, I think Infosys would have been similar choice at the time. Regardless which company I had joined back then, I still would have to prepared similar to what I prepared after joining Gramener, then switched to Goldman Sachs. But yeah, it was a daring decision. So it gave me more mental uh, capacity and risk taking ability more than anything else. Because at the time nobody knew what Gramener is. Even my parents were like, Infosys. They knew it's a good company. It's an established name. A lot of people work for Infosys, and I wanted to go for a small company relatively because they were willing to offer me work sooner. They were willing to offer work based on my interview experience and my work that I did during college. So I just took a plunge, and looking back, it was a good decision. But
Yeah.
regardless of it, like changing from that package to Goldman and other things, it required a similar effort. So even if somebody joins Infosys, it would make no difference. They will still have to, work their way like I did to reach to a product based company at least. That's I mean, yeah.
Actually, it was really a gut decision, Kriti, because most probably because Infosys, it's kind of a brand name. So most probably, if even any college student gets any multiple offers, firstly they'll be picking by brand and next by salaries. Even if the salaries are same, then they'll be picking the brand. But really, you did a great dare, I can say, picking over the Grameen or over the Infosys. What really a great decision.
Yeah.
And coming to your skill building and career accelerations, we have also seen like you have actively participated in the GSoC and Koala. So, how was your experiences by contributing to this open source in GSoC and Koala?
I think coming from a tier 3 college, any good experience that you have in any domain, like mine was software engineering, in any domain, if someone can have like real world experience, it's like the best thing. So for me, GSOC changed my life in more ways than I expected. First of all, I contributed to multiple projects and then eventually did a 3 months Google Summer of Code program that's organized by Google with Koala organization. So it was a student paid program, so that was my first earning as a college student. That gave me immense boost. And secondly, when I came to the industry, right, as a working professional, I had so much understanding of writing quality code, navigating through huge code bases, learning multiple things at the same time. As students, we make projects, I know Python, let's see what I can make using Python. But with open source, I just tried my hands at multiple projects and figured out what technologies they used. When I started, I only knew Python, but by the end of it, I understood Git, I understood CI/CD pipelines, I understood writing documentations, I understood multiple things, all in a period of 6 to 9 months, thanks to open source. And that was the single best thing on my resume at the time. So that was an added benefit. And because of GSOC, because it has a Google brand to it, I even got calls for interviews. Just because of having GSOC in my resume. So that is, and like even if GSOC was not there, open source teaches a lot because you deal with real world projects, you talk to people, you get active feedback on your work. So it's wonderful. And that is true for like as student, the more real world exposure that one can get, it's like there's nothing compared to it.
So, any advice you wanted to give to our students, like how to participate in this GSoC kind of things?
Yeah. So there are a lot of open source forums like on Twitter and even like online. You can follow those pages to understand when these kind of programs are being organized, right? So GSOC is one that gets organized every year. There's Outreachy for women. There are multiple like Hacktoberfest, right? A lot, and there are communities like PyCon India is one. Then there is there are a bunch of communities, so be part of these communities so that you'll get to know what's going on. And secondly, go through the websites like GSoC or GitHub is a very good resource. Just see, and GitHub also has a trending page, so just see what projects people are working on. So trending means like more people are actively contributing to that project, so it's a good space to start with. Learn about Git, learn about any coding language, and then go to GitHub and find out projects based on that language that people are actively contributing to. Ask for help, and yeah, eventually you can even explore like GSoC website and see what organizations are there. And then join there. Like every organization has a channel like Slack or these email threads, right? So join them, ask questions, and yeah, like mostly GitHub is a good resource. And then go through the documentations of each of the projects. Yeah, a lot of exploration initially is needed.
So, firstly, how much ever you learn, that is all you get through it, right?
Yeah.
So, what are your top three resources that helped you to make job ready in your journey?
See, as a software engineer, the first resource that is needed is DSA. And when I say DSA, you'll at least have to start with one language. So pick any language and then get decent in DSA. That's one thing. And the second thing now, because we have plenty of resources, so many YouTube videos on DSA. So the second filter that happens for selecting candidate is good projects. So it can either be open source, or you can work with some startups, or you can build your own personal projects. So there are essentially like these two skills only. The third is how good you reach out to people. So if you are like, once you do DSA, once you do good projects, you yourself are ready, but how will people find you? That's when you have to, you don't necessarily have to have a good LinkedIn profile or something like that, but you have to actively apply, actively reach out to people, actively put yourself out there so that people can find you. Like if the more you'll apply, the better you'll have chances to be, get shortlisted. So those are the three things. Like first, like as like you need to have DSA knowledge, and second, good projects, and third, apply. Yes, multiple times.
So also Kriti, like you have a big tech stack evolution as well when we go through your resume or LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Python, backend, designing, DevOps, DSA, whatnot. So how did you prioritize your learning?
Back in college, like, see, I genuinely feel like there's one learning that we can do just by going through stuff, and there's one learning that we can do by practically experimenting with it. So my personal agenda, like, that happened unknowingly in college, but somehow it happened. So I knew Python, so I just started with finding organizations, open source projects that use Python, and as part of figuring them out, I learned 10 more skills. So that's how it is. And I also like explored web development, AI back in the day when I was in college. So I studied a lot of things, but as soon as I found out ki, okay, like this is something that I know now good enough, that's when I tried to get practical experience with that. So similarly, and like my first job also required a different kind of Python knowledge. So I knew Python, but I didn't know anything about NumPy, Pandas, data science using Python. So my job taught me that. So that's why I say, like, the more projects you build or the more projects you contribute to, they'll teach you multiple skills. So in Goldman Sachs, my skill set was entirely, focused on internal proprietary softwares, like as for work. But I did in my free time explore React and Mon Stack a little bit. So I tried to find time, but then again, focus was more on building projects as much as possible. So yeah, and then again at Coinbase, I learned Golang. So a lot of things happened on the go. You just have to, because technology changes very rapidly, right? So I think as a software engineer, we should be able to adapt quickly to any new tech stack. One thing is, when we have a project to deliver, that's when learning expedites. It the speed increases, and otherwise it's good to uh, explore through GitHub projects. That's very good way. Like when I was learning MERN on my own at Goldman Sachs, like during my time at Goldman Sachs, I did contribute to some of the projects that were using MERN stack, so that was helpful.
So what made you to think the biggest difference in your interviews? What skill?
I think interviewers look for, who can make the most impact. So when I interview as a college student or even as a working professional, I try to show them the impact that I have in my work. Okay, so that's the most important thing. Most people, like I have seen a lot of people talk about they were part of so and so team, they did this work. That is okay, like, but why did they do that work? What was the impact? How did it help their team or their company? So those are the questions that I try to understand. Even like when I'm working on some project in my company, I try to understand, why is this important? Like, why am I doing this in the first place? Why is this needed? So that way it is, when you understand that, it makes your work, like I value my work as well, and then I'm able to explain it to others as well. So showing impact in terms of percentage, in terms of improvements, in terms of what you deliver to the end users, that is super important in my case. Like, once, so there are two things, right, in interviews. One is they will obviously ask you DSA questions and HLD, LLD questions. So one is there, you have to show your skill set over there. But second thing is, like, you have to show, because you will be able to deliver impact. So it goes hand in hand. I hope that made sense.
Oh yes, obviously, Kriti. Because in more of an interviews, like we need to be more of a storytelling kind of thing. But storytelling kind of thing, the HRs or the recruiters will not believe as it is because they need some kind of numbers. They need some kind of impact that you made to the team. That's absolutely true. So, Kriti, like we have also seen your biggest career transition from Gramener to Goldman Sachs, and then to Coinbase, and then to Microsoft. What were the biggest mindset shift at each transition? Because when an employee is shifting from one company to another company to adjust to that environment and being able to do the works and impress managers and all that handling pressure is not a small thing, right? So, what was your biggest mind shift during your career transitions?
Yeah. So first thing is, when you get your first job, right? it gives you happiness, it gives you a good sense of, that you are earning on your own, you can party and all of that. So the first big transition that was required for me to switch from Gramener to Goldman Sachs, because it changed my it changed my income quite a lot, because Goldman Sachs is a good company, right? It's in one of the biggest financial investment banks out there. So one of the mindset shift that was required was during preparation, to understand that if I have to get into a tier 1 company, I need to prepare like that, right? So I can't be like, okay, I only know development, I only know DSA, or one of the two, right? So one was actively preparing for whatever the company is asking. So that was one thing. So I didn't get complacent when I got my first job. I took some time to, cut all distractions out, no partying and all for me. I did initially when I got my job, but after some time I was all into preparing. So that was one. And second, like you said, when we go into a new company, right, they expect, especially as a lateral hire, not like college students, campus hires still have a bit of time, they still get little bit of time to transition from students to working professionals. But when you're joining as a lateral, they expect you to ramp up very quickly. And given I joined Goldman Sachs during COVID, that means I wasn't even going to office. And with all the tech stack which was internal, it took a lot of time and a lot of self doubt at the time to, navigate how it was going. At a lot of times, I truly thought like, I'm not meant for this. Let me go back to, you know, a job which I understood. But eventually, you have to tell yourself, like, if you have come here, you can go ahead as well. Like, they hired you because you performed well in the interviews. And if you are able to perform in the interviews, you can perform here as well. So one thing is this: there are times that are filled with self doubt. It like coming from college to to the corporate world is very different. The pressure of deadlines is there, and you have to talk to a lot of people to find out, how to get something done. They sometimes we get assigned a task, but they expect us to ask the right questions, to ask with so many people and try to really grasp what is the requirement. At the end, what is it that we have to code. One, it requires a lot of self faith, believing in yourself, or in your god, that if you are here, you will be able to figure out. And second is like showing up. A lot of times just showing up is very important, because if you show up and ask for help, people are willing to help. You'll find people who are, ready to help you, answer all your questions, help you navigate the tech stack. But it's you who has to take the first step of asking the question. It is you who have to go to their desk and be like, okay, I have to do this. I need help. Can you help me? Right. So that is there. In corporate, competition is there, but also people are very helpful. But it takes, like, I think, ownership and asking for help. These are two things that are super important in corporate. Like, once you have a work assigned, you need to own it, and also be willing to ask for help multiple times from multiple people.
Thanks, Kriti. That was really a great journey, because the mindset, it really needs some guts and needs some adaptability to adapt to the environment and also showcase your work. And yes, we need to ask the help and we need to take the ownership. And Kriti,
Right.
like, can you just also brief, like, what was the interview process in the Coinbase and Microsoft? Because it will be helpful for our students who are aiming for the product-based companies.
Yeah, so I'll reiterate, like, most of the product based companies for engineering roles, especially SD1, SD2, and even like tech leads, most of the interviews consist of three parts: data structures and algorithms, second is low level design, and third is high level design. There are multiple terminologies, but mostly these three are the categories. Depending on your experience, you may be asked difficult questions on DSA, or on system design. Like, for people higher in their career, the system design matters more than, DSA. And similarly, for people coming out of college, DSA matters much more than system design. Like, you can know basics of system design, but they expect you to be very thorough with data structures and algorithms. So these are the three things. Apart from that, there is behavioral round with the hiring manager or HR. And for this, the STAR methodology works. You need to have situations where you actually delivered an impact and how you navigated through it, what work you did, what projects you built. So these are the four basic requirements when you for technical roles.
And now you have also been transition in your career from a service-based to product-based companies, right? So when a person or an employee who is working in a service-based companies, let's suppose Gramener or Infosys or Accenture or Capgemini, and now they wanted to aim for the product-based companies like Microsoft, Amazon, Google. So what kind of steps do they need to take to be placed in the product-based company?
Yeah, the first step would be to get thorough with data structures and algorithms. And second will be system design. Like these are the two important things. Because they have work experience, they can leverage that to showcase their skills and ownership and things like that, the projects that they have built. But for interviews, they will need to actively you know be very good at solving data structures and algorithms. So I think the difference between service based companies, because service based companies also ask data structures and algorithms kind of questions, and in addition to what their process, but the difficulty level is very higher in like when we go to product based companies. So it's like you'll have to increase your speed, increase your understanding, increase your how much you know about data structures and algorithms. So that is important. And the more higher up the role that you're going, the more in-depth understanding like of high level design is required. Like for example, for a person with 3 to 4 years of experience getting hired for SD2, they will, even if they get asked a question like design YouTube, they will be very much judged on each minute details, like how will specific component like streaming of a YouTube video will work. So the depth matters a lot when it comes to switching from service based companies to product based companies. The depth of when it comes to DSA, the depth really means that you know all the data structures including graphs and all the algorithms, and your speed is quite good to solve them in time during interviews. And for system design, you are able to design different kinds of systems and understand the challenges that come with it.
So, Kriti, let's have a quick rapid fire with you.
Sure.
So, we'll have some questions and you need to just answer in a 1 or 2 words, kind of. Okay. So,
Okay.
first major
Okay.
tech purchase after getting a good salary.
MacBook.
Okay. So, one tech YouTube or course you would recommend for every fresher.
Every fresher. Okay, that's a tough one. Like any DSA course for fresher, and if they are looking for system design, Arpit Bhyani's courses are good for system design.
Okay.
And he has a beginner level course also, so that will work.
Okay. So, what was the YouTuber name?
Arpit Bhyani.
Okay. So, most underrated skill every engineer should have.
Debugging.
Okay. So, favorite tech stack
It's
or
a skill.
framework?
A goal. FX framework that comes by Uber, and using it with Golang.
So, one mistake you would warn your younger self about.
Taking things too seriously.
Okay. You should not take things seriously as well. Okay.
Too seriously. Like eventually, see, if you are moving in the right direction, you'll find your job, you'll work things out. But it's important to enjoy the process, think long term.
Yeah, that's true. So, finally, Kriti, can you give us beloved students any message like who are feeling stuck or confused about their path in the tech?
So, my first lesson would be, if you are very early in tech, and like solve for one thing at a time. Like for example, if your salary is low, just solve for salary, don't try for product based companies. There are many companies that pay really well and are not product based. Solve for that. Once you solve that, then try to find the work that you find meaningful. Don't try to solve for everything at once. So if you don't have a job, get a job first. If once you get a job and the pay is low, start to try to get a job that pays well. Once you get that, try to find work that is very meaningful to you, one step at a time.
Okay, that was a great message, Kriti. So, what is your next planning after the micro? You're already currently working in the Microsoft. So,
Yeah.
what are your big dreams ahead?
My big dreams are right now I'm enjoying sharing my journey, lessons I've learned, and helping people through LinkedIn. So that's what I want to do going forward. Like along with growing in my job at Microsoft, that's there, and along with that, this is new to me. Teaching people, sharing my journey online. I've been a very known social person, if that's a term, for the past 5 years. But yeah, I'm enjoying this phase. So yeah, hopefully people find my journey or the things that I share helpful. Yeah, so that's about it right now.
Thank you, Kriti. It was really inspiring and motivation to our students. So, definitely, I think they'll be getting some meaningful insights from your tech talk that you have been through us. So, thank you for being with us and thank you for helping
Thank you.
Trendlines Media and Trendlines EdTech students.
Thank you for having me.